Welcome to Dad Bods, Crab Cakes, and Sports, where husky middle-aged men share insight on the latest Baltimore sports news. From the bank to the yard and beyond, we're breaking down the Ravens, Orioles, Terps, and more. Baltimore's best sports podcast starts now. Michael Frisky, John Landscraner, and Jason Weisbecker here this evening. Fellas, how are you doing?
We're rocking and rolling, baby. I picked the winner
Hi, everybody.
I picked the winner of the Masters. I told you who it was going to be on Wednesday, and you put your money on somebody else.
Mike, should you go after him first, or do you want me to go after him? How you doing?
He's ripe for the picking, my friend. Go ahead.
Okay, listen. When you have the favorite of a golf tournament, such as the Masters, and he is by far the favorite along with Scotty Scheffler, unless I'm going to put a crap ton of money on it, I'm not winning anything. And I'm not willing to put a crap ton of money on someone in such a crapshoot as the Masters. So I think he went off at like what, Mike? Was it like plus 700, plus 900, something like that, where all my bets for the Masters this weekend were $5 bets. So because it's such a crazy thing for me. Now, if I had unlimited funds, it would have been different and blah, 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 blah. But to your pick, you did not pick the winner. You only picked the winner because it was a snake draft and you had the number one overall pick. So let's talk about that right now. Okay, and then we'll get into how everybody's doing. But our Masters Pick'em contest.
Do we have to talk about this out loud?
I'm sorry,
but Jason, he still had to perform. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just had faith in him and knew he would perform. And if you had faith in anybody else, I don't know, you were telling us some guy today you were going to win $400 because he was going to win, and you had faith in that he was going to perform, and he didn't come through. So I had faith, and I knew that Rory was going to complete this Grand Slam.
So if you want to win money betting on golf or betting on horse racing, unless you're willing to put out a good amount of money right off the bat, and I'm talking hundreds, like something to make a dent, you need to bet on something that's a little more value-based. So I went with, and I'm going to butcher, it's Aberg. What was his first name, Mike?
Ludwig Oberg.
So I went Ludwig, and I bet $15 on two different times, actually. I bet him that he would win. I bet $10 right away. He was $17.50 plus $17.50. So that would have paid me $155. Then he went plus 3,000 as we went later in the round. So I put another $5 on him. So for $15, it would have paid me all $400. And he went all the way down to the 16th hole with a shot at actually tying for the lead. And everything unraveled from there. So what I'm getting at, John, is you can't this contest isn't about just picking the winner. You actually had to pick more than one golfer. So let's start off. So just to recap, Mike went with Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, John Rahm, and Morikawa. So unfortunately for Mike, Koepka did not make the cut. So if your player does not make the cut, what's wrong? Mike can't hear it.
Mike froze.
Oh, Mike can't hear. Okay. That's okay. We can keep talking about this, though.
That's a mic problem.
Oh, my.
It's actually an AirPod problem. It's not a mic problem, but I'm a problem in general with those players that I picked. What the heck was that?
Yeah,
I really just want to stick with the Morikawa pick. He did okay this week.
Yeah, but so did John Rahm. I mean, he was 300. He was all right.
So how much did you guys actually watch of this?
I watched pretty much a little bit every day, and then I watched the majority of it yesterday and today.
I watched more early on. Like I watched more Thursday, and then I didn't get as much in today with kids' events and things like that. But I watched I turned it on in time to see Rory drop to his knees at the very end.
I had it up on the TV while I was on the auto dialer, and as I'm talking to people, kind of watching it, and didn't get much in yesterday or today because I was busy, but
Did you see the Scheffler shot? I think it was on the second day on number 12 the par 3. He hits it into the pine straw behind the hole. And then all of a sudden, it's like one of those yard games where it just kind of like pops out on the side of the green. I'm like, what the heck, man?
Oh, that's
I never have
weird.
luck
I
like
didn't see
that.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
see
it was like Plinko skee ball style. Like goes way into the pine straw, and all of a sudden it like rolls down a hill and like pops out. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Golf guys were on his side. I thought that might be his opening, but then again, he had an up and down weekend as well.
It was like that scene from Space Jam, right, where Bugs takes the magnet and pulls the ball into the hole, and then Michael reaches in, right?
Oh, nice. That's great.
Nice pull. Yeah.
You guys remember that one? That was a while ago.
I'm old.
I don't think Bugs Bunny was in Jason's all-time foursome. Michael Jordan was, I think, but I'm not sure Bugs Bunny was there.
Nope, didn't make the cut. But well, so just to wrap this stuff up, so we don't bore people to death. But obviously, the overall was we chose the 4 golfers. Whoever had the best combined score at the end of the Masters wins. And unfortunately, if your player did not make the cut, you get their score plus 10, which is a lot less, John, than what Mike wanted to give you. If I would have let you give what Mike wanted to give you, you would have had a plus like 7 score. Mike would have beat you. So, but just to clear this up, so John did have one golfer that did not make the cut, but he did happen to have Roy McIlroy, who did win. He also had Bryson DeChambeau, who I think finished 4th or 5th in there. And no, good pool, John. John was -5, Mike was +9, and I was -22. So 22 under par. I win another contest. I'm 2-0 so far in our contest this year, but plenty more to come if I have my way, boys. Plenty.
Jason,
more.
does your head still fit on that screen on that side of the?
It does. His head still fits too, if you can see it. It's so good. We are good.
Hey, I'm with you though. By the way, I didn't bet on the favorites. I had a couple bets. I bet on Justin Thomas. He was plus 2,500. I put $2 down on him. Patia, the guy I was telling you about, the young guy, the lefty, he was plus 8,000, and Cameron Young was plus 17,000. So I was like, I put $1 there, $2 there, just just for fun. That's the way you can make money off this, because like you said, with the Masters, any of those guys really, top 20 guys in the world have a shot at winning it, and might as well take a bet on one of those guys.
Right. And like, if you guys remember, like my account got pretty punished because of some of the March Madness bets. So I have like free money to play with essentially. So my bets are like this $5 bets, but they're on a lot of different people. Like I did Matsuyama, I did like I told you guys, Aberg, Spieth, Koepka, Morikawa, and none of those guys won because I wasn't sure if they would win, but it's one of those things where if you pick the favorite, it's just not financially going to work out unless you put a lot more money. So it's not even worth it. Why not throw $5 here and there? See if you can catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, who did one pick I had, Mike, was oh God, I'm gonna butcher this name. It was Besu Danahatut.
Yeah, that's him.
From South Africa. He was plus 10,000. So that would have went well. Yeah.
Hey, did anybody put a bet on someone peeing in the creek?
No, but that's funny. Does that happen every year or something? It probably should.
No. Jose. So if anybody didn't know this, Jose Luis Ballester is an amateur. He plays, I believe, at Arizona State.
That's right. Yeah.
He had to go, and I guess when you got to go. But he after notching a birdie on the 12th hole, Ballester had forgot there was restrooms by the 13th tee, so he just went down to the river and took a leak.
And it got caught on camera?
Yes. Yeah, he was playing with Justin Thomas was putting on the 12th green, so maybe it's Justin Thomas's fault that he just took too long.
Well, now wait a minute. I have gone the anytime I have gone golfing, the majority of the time it's been in a best ball tournament. And usually what is involved there are a few beverages of the adult persuasion. And I always tend to indulge. And I mean, who among us hasn't peed on a golf course that hasn't been in a bathroom? Raise your hand if you have. All right, 3 hands. Okay, we're not gonna crucify this poor man. Oh, Mike did 2 hands. Actually, Mike is going right now as we're speaking. So this is very impressive.
No, it's a lie.
Okay,
White Truth, I'm not.
so listen to this quote from this guy. He goes, "I'm like, I really have to pee. Didn't really know where to go, and since Thomas had an issue on the green, I'm like, I'm just gonna sneak over here to the river and take a leak. Probably people won't see me. Then I went and they clapped really loud.
God,
You can't sneak anywhere on Augusta. The patrons are everywhere, as they say.
oh, it's funny.
Well, you know what though? The funny thing is, and what I was listening to at the wrap up of the Masters, they weren't allowed to have cell phones. Like you're not allowed to have a cell phone when you're there to take pictures, doing that kind of stuff. So that could have gone viral probably pretty quickly had the patrons had their cell phones with them.
You know, I was just about to say that to say like, oh, it might be a bucket list type place, but I mean, I don't know if I can be anywhere without my cell phone, like with kids and stuff like that. I don't know. I'd feel very like squirrely about it, but I get it. I get it. Rules are rules. We can, although the Masters have had some other rules that they've had to change over the years too. So,
but it still costs like $2.50 or something for an egg salad sandwich. So that's good, right?
I was just telling Jess about that. It's so funny because it's like and for some reason I craved egg salad. I made it last Thursday. Who knew? But it's one of those things. It's like all their prices are still very reasonable to try to keep that sort of tradition alive. I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, speaking of egg salad, we're getting close to Easter, man, and that's my favorite thing is we hard boil the eggs and dye them, and then we get deviled eggs and egg salad and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. No, egg salad is like one of my key. Like trying to eat cleaner and healthier and stuff. That's always been one of my go-to. Although I do it like we do put the mayonnaise, and I'm not willing. Mike, I know mayonnaise is one of your secrets.
Favorite
so,
4 food groups. Yeah.
I'm not willing to give
butter and mayonnaise and Chick-fil-A sauce. I don't know. There are a few of my favorite food groups.
Yeah, those are musts.
That was the day when I found that they make Chick-fil-A sauce in a bottle and you can buy it at the grocery store.
You should see my pantry right now because Allie drinks the stuff, for Christ's sake. Like it's like, and Costco has it like 4 packs. So we buy them all the time. She eats them with like regular nuggets, Chick-fil-A nuggets, French fries, everything, all that crap.
Yeah, we just ran out. I got to go find another bottle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so does that wrap up the Masters for us? Well, actually, we didn't even really talk about it. I mean, look, just to kind of, I thought it was pretty awesome at the end too. I felt for Rory because I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my gosh, if he ends up losing this thing, what like he's had a couple like collapses before, but if he ends up after this one, oh boy, I'm not sure how he's going to recover from that, Mike. But for him to do it to me was a storybook ending, and kind of just put the what's he like 1 of 5 or 1 of 6? It might be 1 of 6.
6, yeah.
Guys to ever hit the Grand Slam. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I know they had Jack Nicklaus on live from the Masters afterwards, and he was kind of saying that it was never a career goal of his to kind of do that. He just wanted to kind of play each major one at a time and win them and that kind of stuff. But the other 5 guys did that earlier on in their career too, so there was no pressure. Like Rory had 10 years of pressure basically mounting on him, and you could see all that pressure go away when he kind of dipped down on the green after he made that last birdie putt. And then the fans were going wild. I might have had some liquid in one of my eyes for a minute. I thought it was just a really cool scene, watching him hug his kid and kind of make the trek, with all that emotion to the Butler cabin to get his green jacket. Just real quick on the career Grand Slam, that's something that's like pretty rare. 6 people in the history of golf have done that, including Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, some of the big names in golf. But still, Jack has that 18 majors record. So I don't know when we're going to talk about some broken records later. That's a big one too.
Yeah, who are the other guys? Gary Player and you said Arnie, you said Jack, or you didn't say Arnie. But
no,
Arnie, Jack, Gary,
Ben Hogan.
Tiger, Ben Hogan. That's it. Wow. Yeah, there's your Mount Rushmore plus some of from golfers there, man. Goodness gracious. Yeah, it's funny because I thought Phil was gonna take over as one of those guys for a while, and he did. I mean, to his own credit, I mean, Phil's done a ton, right? But it's like Rory is that guy, and then over the last what's it been 11 years, he's had a shot at that. I mean, it's whew. No, to me that's funny. That all the people that said he was due, Mike, and you mentioned it on our last one that you were listening to Scott Van Pelt, and he mentioned that people were like, "Yeah, he's due. This is his." And it's funny how that works, John. I mean, again, he was the favorite. Besides Scotty Scheffler, him and him, you could have flipped a coin, and it turned out. I mean, he definitely made good on that bet.
Well, I saw him bogey that last hole in regulation in 18, and I'm like, oh man, here comes the collapse again. I mean, all he had to do was par that hole, and he had been the winner, in the 72, and then he had to go the extra holes. But he
Did
pulled
you
it
guys
out.
watch, Mike? Did you watch that last hole?
I literally turned it on when he was making that putt. That is literally when I turned it on.
The only reason I mentioned this, John, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you heard it and heard the call, Jim Nance was like, and like now for like legendary status, quote unquote. I don't know exactly what he said. And he putts, and then no one said anything. All you heard was the audience go, and I went, and I had my earpiece in. I just walked in the other room and I go, oh no, he missed it. He missed a 6-foot putt. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. I thought he was too. Oh, I thought it could have been bad. He could have missed the follow up right then and there. But go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't have anything else less to say, Jason. I mean, and it's I just was expecting a collapse. I thought it was just going to be a one-hole playoff, and Rory was going to go out, and it wasn't going to be good for him. But he pulled it off, and I'm very, very excited for him. To join that elite club.
It was like it was an awesome day, for golf to have that happen. And the other thing was, and it was kind of a basic redemption story all day long. He started off with a double bogey on the first hole, right? That's what I was hearing. And then he had a wedge that went in the water somewhere around 13 after he hit a layup shot basically on a shorter hole. And so like all day was a roller coaster ride for Rory. And that, like you said, that last hole where he missed that putt, and then, finally he had the same exact shot on the playoff hole basically that he had on that hole previously where he hit it in the sand, and he just made the shot. So it's kind of one of those things where you're like, finally everything came together for that guy. I can't imagine I bet he goes on a little bit of a run here. That's a ton of weight lifted off his shoulders, right? So maybe he wins another major this year. We'll see.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny because if you saw the in the playoff, Justin Rose's shot, it hit right next to the pin. I was like, oh my gosh. But when he hit it, it thumped and ran a little bit, but it didn't have the backspin to come back. When Rory hit his, holy crap. It came in, it hit the lip, it went up, and it ran back towards the hole on like this big thing. And I went, oh my God, he's going to win the Masters. Like, this is it. But I was still thinking, I'm like, Justin Rose could still hit this. And I had nothing invested in Justin Rose. Because again, by the time I could have bet on him, he was already like +4, +500. Because I wouldn't have done it before the whole thing started. But do you guys have anything else you want to add to these guys? I thought it was a great tournament overall.
No, just Justin Rose, you mentioned his name. And I believe he lost in a playoff before in the Masters. I think it was the Sergio maybe. But yeah, so just he showed a lot of grace in defeat. And I think that's lost sometimes in the sports world. He had to want that more than anything in the world, but he recognized the moment and was happy to be a part of the moment, and was super gracious to Rory and in his interview post round. So I just thought that was pretty classy on his part.
Yeah, he's always been a class act going forward. I mean, you're right. He lost to Sergio on the last playoff that actually happened in the Masters. And those guys are Ryder Cup teammates, longtime Ryder Cup teammates. Very classy. John, do you have anything else you want
Well,
to add?
he finished. This is the third time he's finished second. He did 2013, 2017, and then this year.
Let me tell you how impressive that is. Like, forget about, like, you can win a master. Like, Bubba Watson's won 2 masters, right? Anyone that's either won 2 masters or finish in the top 3 multiple times, to me, you're up here as far as golfing goes. So to me, that speaks volumes as well.
Right, 100%. I mean, it's almost as tough to finish second as it is to finish, finish in first.
Yeah,
When you have making the cut every year, and beating all those guys and all that stuff.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I guess we got to turn over to baseball here, and we got to talk about the Orioles. I don't know what direction you guys are going to go here. If I'm willing to bet, and which we all know I am, I'm going to say that you guys are going to be in the opposite end of what I feel about all this. But the Orioles are home for a longer homestand. They were supposed to have 3 against the Blue Jays. They had a rain out on Friday, so they only had a 2 game, and they ended up with a split. Did you guys end up catching any of the game today or no?
I listened to it on the radio.
Yes, I watched quite a few innings today.
All right. So what you guys think? What's your opinion? What's going on? John, Mike, you
So
go first.
yeah, so what I watched today, I saw them take the lead, and then I saw them blow the lead. But it was clear that they missed having the ability to have Batista on back-to-back days. I think just to mix and match in the bullpen a little bit. I know they brought Cano in with a runner on base, and he surrendered, I think, a base hit to was it Bichette? But there were some situations there that I think might have been managed a little bit differently, and obviously Brandon Hyde wasn't in there at the end of the game too, so he had his general. Was that Chirinos?
Marinos.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think if I'm not mistaken, that was his first real stint in that role.
Mhm.
So it was interesting to see how he kind of did that. But I think honestly they're trending upward a little bit. I thought they made more of the little plays this weekend than they had previously. I saw the rundown plays that they had. Adley picked the guy off at second today in a big spot, heading from second to third. Jackson Holiday made a really nice defensive play on the infield. So it looked like they were doing more of the little things that are going to help you win games. Unfortunately, not moving runners up is still an issue for them. In that last inning, they get a ground ball to the right side. They move the guy to third base, but they have 2 outs to get him in and can't. Just swinging for the fences, Tyler O'Neill. I don't understand. If you just put the ball in play somewhere to the right side, you'll probably have another run. At least you have another shot at it in the next inning. That was my biggest frustration today.
John, what do you think?
I just like I said, I listened to it on the radio as I was still moving and things, but I'm seeing just mental mistakes. O'Hearn getting picked off second base, things like that. You just cannot let happen, And Povich, from what they said, he pitched fairly well. I mean, 4.2 innings with two runs and 1 homer, and I guess maybe it's just a pitch thing, but they interviewed Torino before the game and talked to him about a lot of these things, like as a first-time major league coach and what he's seeing, having played with some of these guys. And he's saying, I'm seeing a lot of upward trends in guys like Adley, and his on the field, but most importantly, his clubhouse and his managing of the pitchers and things like that. So, it's tough to win, but I think this weekend we did some things much better, and seeing Batista last night, get a save and everything is a great upward trend for this team. But like I texted you guys earlier, I was watching SportsCenter this morning, and Buster Olney was saying the big bust is the Orioles starting pitching, and that's going to have to be something. And I don't know how much longer can we have guys going 4 innings and expect the bullpen to hold out. Like, that's my big question.
Yeah, I mean that's been the question the last couple of years, actually. Even though besides Burns last year, they had those other guys struggling to get past the 5th and 6th inning. I mean, I do Mike made a very good point a couple weeks ago, right out of spring training, that those guys aren't stretched out yet for whatever reason, whether it's they're worried about an injury or whatnot, but they're getting there. I was afraid. I thought you guys were going to take a little more negative approach. I'm extremely positive from this weekend, and if anyone listened to the last show, I was not positive. I was very concerned, but I will say that, especially yesterday, like that's the Orioles team that we all know and love, that's capable of blowing some things up when they had a perfect game pitched against them. All of a sudden you work a couple walks, Kerstad comes up with a big home run, and then Mullins shows why he's the hottest Oriole right now. And again, Mullins at bat today, Mike, you kind of mentioned in the extra innings today when there was a runner on second, 0 outs, Mullins hits the ball to the right side, moves the runner over. And I'm sitting there yelling at the TV for O'Neill just to hit a fly ball. I'm like, that's what you do. Like, you hit fly balls. But he also doesn't hit right-handed pitching. So part of me, and I'm like, they'll never do this because you have to justify why you paid this man however much money a year, $16, $17 million. But Urias is sitting on the bench that knows how to hit a fly ball. Bring him in, hit a fly ball. But I'm like, they'll never do that. And I don't know if they should do that. I don't think that's a good sign. You can't take your number 4 hitter or 5 hitter and do that. But a couple other things that I'm looking at right now that I don't know if you guys are, I think Westberg is hurt. And I think he's hurt more significant than everyone's leading on because he looks real tight. He looks like he can't handle anything in the inside corner of the plate. And he's not willing to even try. There were a couple pitches earlier today. Now, Brandon Hyde got ejected because there were 2 balls. Both of the pitches were him. He was called out on strike 3 looking twice. But both of them were on the inside corner. And I'm just wondering if he's afraid to pull the trigger on that. And if he does have a back issue, a recurring back issue, Mike, it could be something where he's not willing or able to open those hips and drive the ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see much of Westy today. But they're batting him, 4 regularly, it looks like right now. So, what you expect out of a cleanup hitter? I think they expect him to drive in runs, right? And you got to be able, and I think he hits the ball to all fields. If he has a tweak somewhere in his midsection, that's going to affect his ability to hit the ball to all fields. Throwing, hitting, that's why those injuries, we talked about them earlier on, like a couple weeks ago. Anything oblique or lat is kind of scary because it's in that midsection of your body and it affects everything you do as a baseball player. So if he is hurt, that's a negative there for the O's. I really still think they miss Colton Cowser. I think they miss just the outfield defense. He also just has this general fun-loving attitude that I think is helpful for the team. And I know a lot of those guys, they're good guys. They mean business. They're there. But I think him and Adley, especially clubhouse-wise, just bring a nice presence to the team that they're missing with not having Colton.
I think one other thing, too, is like right now, Adley and Gunnar are getting really hot. Gunnar had a huge day today, triple, couple hits. And as that continues to start, what I'm noticing is there's not a true number 3 hitter on this team. And I'm wondering if Cedric gets put in there a little more right now. And if he doesn't, Cedric goes to the top, Gunnar goes to 3, Adley stays in between, or you move Adley to 3. To be completely honest with you, I'm fine with that. He sees a lot of pitches. He can do different things. But having Ryan O'Hearn as your number 3 hitter, John, to me, isn't really what I'm thinking of as far as a playoff baseball team.
I don't think so either. As I'm looking here at the stats on the season, Mullins, and they talked about this on the radio a little bit, that they were very excited to see how Mullins was working pitchers, how he was doing the things that he needs to do to get on base and to be the top base runner or base stealer on our team. I'm looking right here at the stats right now. Mullins is
he has 9 walks.
Yes,
he has 9 walks.
414 on base percentage. He's hitting 277 with a 414 on base percentage. He has 13 hits, 4 doubles, 3 homers, leads the team. he has double the amount of RBIs of the next closest guy on our team. O'Neill has 8, Mullins has 16. Nine bases on balls and only 10 strikeouts with 2 steals. So, putting Mullins in that 3 or that 4 slot is not a bad idea with the way that he's performing. Because, in baseball, we all know this, right? Sometimes your average isn't high, but you're working pitchers, you're getting walks, you're getting on base, and that whole kind of Moneyball thing of, get on base, steal the base, then whatever is what needs to be done. And Mullins right now seems to be doing that. And I know, Mike, it's a lot different for you watching the game rather than I'm just listening to what's going on. But I don't know. What do you think?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no,
to visit us right now.
Yeah, we have a visitor on the show. Hi, Cole.
Hi, Cole. Good to see you, bud.
Okay. You ready to go now?
So, what I think there, we don't have that. As I was watching the game today, I was begging the Orioles in the offseason to find guys that get on base. Find guys that get on base to complement some of the power hitting in the lineup. And I still feel like they're lacking in that area. Cedric Mullins, yes. Tyler O'Neill has a 365 on base percentage, Mullins 414, and Adley 344. Everyone else is below 300 with their on base percentage. And most of the team is well below 250. So with that being said, you need to get guys who get on base. You can't score runs without getting on base.
It's very true. And like one of the things that and I get why they did it, but it was irritating that they replaced Kjerstad with Laureano because Laureano plays defense better than Kjerstad. But I would have much rather had Kjerstad facing Hoffman at the end of the game at the very end with a runner on 3rd and 2 outs than Laureano. Again, good weekend for Kjerstad. I think he was 2 or 3 for 6 and 1 big knock and an extra base hit. Those are the things you want from your young guys. And it just sucks because defensively we're in a bind right now. So you need to have certain guys out there at certain times. But I do tend to think that the Orioles do get a little cute and a little too cute with some of the stuff they do. Just leave your guys in there. I get why you're playing for your defense, but you got to know that there's a chance he's going to get up like that. And you want that bat. But I would have we traded essentially Santander's services for O'Neill's services. And I got to say right now, I would have much rather had Santander up today than O'Neill in the situation.
Well, here's my question too for you guys is as I just put this in the private chat if you guys want to look at it. Urias has 35 at-bats. He has 12 hits in 35 at-bats. Westberg has 52 at-bats and has 12 hits. Mountcastle has 48-13, Cedric 47-13, O'Neill 45-13, and Adley 54 and 14 hits. So if Westberg's hurt, I don't know what Urias is going to do in a long term like that. But right now, he's hitting 343 with a 410 on base percentage in less at-bats than these other guys.
But they ran out Adley last year, game after game after game, and both Mike and I, and John, I'm only saying this because Mike and I have been talking about this for the last year and a half. Something was wrong with him. And I don't think that's a secret. And they kept rolling him out. And if we can see it, they can see it. And so if they're doing that to Adley, how do we know that's not happening with Westberg? So I don't know. If it is something, you do have a couple infielders down below. You have Mayo you could bring up, but I'm not thrilled by it, but they have to make a decision real quick what they're going to do because he's not himself. Like that first series, he killed it. 3 home runs. And
what besides his play, Jason, was there something that really makes you think he's hurt?
When you watch him, he looks stiff, Mike. He just looks like he looks like somebody that's got a back problem right now.
Because he had to lay out to make a tag right at in the rundown today.
Yeah, but it was from the first at bat on in this game. And he did get that's so funny you say that because when he did that, I cringed. I went, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was thinking that.
But he got up. He got up. He was fine. So I don't know. Maybe I'm making nothing like something out of nothing. They've only played 1 game or 2 games in 3 days. So or 4 days. They didn't play Thursday. They didn't play Friday. They're not playing tomorrow. So 2 games in 5
That's
days.
good when they only have 4 pitchers. So there you go.
You ain't kidding, man. So yeah, coming up the Indians and the Reds. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. So
What's an Indian? What's that?
Oh, it's a Guardian. Stupid.
Oh, I
stupid
forgot.
rule.
Hey, Jason, before we move on, let me ask you something. And you too, Mike. Are you guys worried about Gunnar and all of his strikeouts? He's leading the team in strikeouts, even though he has 20 less at-bats than everybody else.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm not worried yet.
Okay. I'm not worried at all. I think, like you said, we missed all that spring training time, but I'm just looking at all the team stats here, and I'm like, the number that jumps out at me is Gunnar has 34 at-bats. He's striking out 1 in every 3 at-bats he takes.
Right, but
less than 1 in 3.
Right.
1 in 2.78.
So what did he do today? Was he 3 for 5? Can you pull that up? And the average exit velocity, I think, was like 103.
Yeah, he was 3 for 5 with 1 triple and a strikeout.
Correct. So There you go. There you have it. I'm telling you, his average exit velocity is somewhere between 100 and 105. And to me,
he's had some loud outs. And
that's what you want, Mike. You want that. You want, like, when you're making, you want to be able to make contact the majority of the time. And when you are, you want that exit velocity to be this high number. And if you're doing that, eventually, what's that one stat they have? It's
BABIP.
Yeah, whatever one it is, it's assuming that when they put the ball in play, it should have been a hit. And like the percentage of hits, I'm telling you, at the end of the year, he's going to have a much higher number there than what you would have expected. So no, John, I understand why some people would be nervous, but I'm not worried just yet. Not yet. Too early.
Well, and here's the thing, I think, to go along with that, Jason, is like I said, I'm not worried about it because he's still getting back into the swing of this. But with those exit velocities, that gets in a pitcher's head. And once you're in a pitcher's head, then they start making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they start making mistakes, he's going to start capitalizing on those mistakes. And I think we'll see, the Gunnar from the first 3-4 months of last season. And I think he's going to be just fine. But like I said, I just saw it and I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw this out there and get your thoughts.
And I don't know how much like he's going to be in pitchers' heads like during the season. I mean, he's already in their heads. He was a top 5 MVP guy. Like, they know what they're getting when Gunnar Henderson comes up to the plate, So I don't think he's going to surprise anybody. But yeah, so just in case everybody's wondering, it sounds like all 3 of us, like we feel very positive over how these last couple games went. And with me, at least, I'm cautiously optimistic going into next week. So the sky is not falling anymore just yet, but we would like them to play better than 500 baseball, I guess, is what we're all saying. So
yeah, and nobody's running away with the AL East right now, so it's not like they just need to tread water here
and see what happens. I mean, like it's 162 games, fellas, 162 games. Well, I'm excited. We finally get to do this segment after about 4 weeks of pushing this crap off. We're going to talk about the Mike's favorite thing to talk about, the Ravens position groups. Just kidding. So we are actually going to talk about the defensive line, and I'll turn this one over to Mike to kind of lead off. But the defensive line, obviously an extremely important position, whether it's the DNs, the interior, whatnot, I think is going to be a big subject of what's going to happen in this draft as well, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, good teams are built from the trenches. We talk D-line and we talk O-line, and that's what the Ravens have done well for a long time. The big loss, the retirement of Michael Pierce in the middle as a run stuffer. I think the Ravens look to replace that in some way. They still have Broderick Washington. They still have Travis Jones, and they still have Matabike in the middle. But I think they look to supplement that in some way, either in the draft or there's still a lot of decent free agents around. I think teams are maybe waiting to see what happens in the draft to see what direction they go to sign some of these guys on the back end of free agency. And then we look at edge rusher. They have Ajabo, they have Owe, Tavius Robinson. So they have some of these guys that are on the younger end of their career, and then they have Van Noy. But Van Noy, Ojabo, and Owe are all in the last year of their deal. So they are definitely going to do something in the draft to address pass rush on the edge as well. I'd like to see them do that in the first or second round, especially on the edge. I think interior defensive line, there are a couple good players out there. They keep talking about the guy Harmon out of Oregon, who's really high on a lot of AFC North teams' list right now. There's a guy Grant from Michigan that they talk about, but so there's some interior D line guys, but the edge rusher class is kind of exciting with Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, Pierce from Tennessee. They've talked about a bunch, so there are some guys available in the draft depending on who falls to the Ravens at the 27th pick. Job, what are your thoughts on the D line right now?
I think that we have a solid, at least foundation for one more year. Mad's got the deal last offseason. I don't know if Owe or Ajabo have shown enough to warrant a deal of some sort. Van Noy has been the guy who we picked him up he was on the couch, the first 3 weeks of the season. And then he comes out and him and Clowney just go at it. And then now he signed again. He's back. So I think I see them having to go after somebody in the first round. Just kind of looking through, there's a whole bunch of edge rushers that are projected to go at the end of the round. You have Green out of Marshall, Donovan Aziruaka from Boston College. I'm sorry, I probably butchered his name. Some edge guys in the end that we may do that towards the end. Or, again, we could find somebody who's on their couch and bring them in again, like we did with Van Noy. We seem to always do something like that. But, there's a reason that Matabike got the deal he got, last offseason. And I think, he's still a young player and he's still causing problems in the trenches. And I think if we can just get a couple guys, in the draft to kind of fill it out, the Pierce thing is a fairly big hole, but I think they'll figure out a way to fill that hole with Jones or Washington or, figure it out. But I think it's another not A+ position, but we're definitely in the B range in terms of a grade for what we have right now.
I mean, okay. I hear you. B range. That's fine. That's not Super Bowl contending range. And it's funny because one of the guys that I am very envious of in the NFL is Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. And if you watched how he's built that team for the 2 Super Bowls that they won, it was interior on the defensive line. Obviously protect your quarterback. Like they had a really good offensive line on both teams, but they built on that defensive line interior out. So they don't necessarily have edge guys that everyone knows about they don't have these guys that are 15, 16, 17 sacks. They get a lot of their pressure and a lot of their sacks from the interior. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that the Ravens continue to do. Interior pressure is, to me, very much more impactful than exterior pressure because it happens a lot quicker. It's like sometimes that edge rush has to develop where interior, you're just bull rushing through. And I think that if that's where the Ravens are going to go. Mike, excuse me if I misheard you, but did you mention Harmon from Oregon as one of the guys? He might be one of the top defensive tackles that I was thinking as well. But if I had to guess right now, if I had to put money down to bet that the Ravens would end up taking a D lineman in the first round, Mike, that's where I think they're going at least.
Yeah, I mean, you say, and I know you talk about interior line being important, especially when you're trying to move a quarterback off his spot immediately. I guess it depends on the type of quarterback you play, if he can step up in the pocket or not, and that can really disrupt a certain type of quarterback. I think that the missing piece on this team for years has been a dominant edge rusher. I mean, we have missed Terrell Suggs immensely. He was the guy for so many years here in Baltimore. we're like the only team in the AFC North that doesn't have a dominant edge rusher. You have Trey Hendrickson, you got Watt, you've got Myles Garrett in Cleveland. We are the team that does not have that edge rusher. And I know that we've made up for a lot of that with our ability to, number one, get an interior pass rush, like you said, Jason, but also do a good job in coverage. And we've drafted a ton of cornerbacks. I would love to see us hit on an edge rusher at some point soon. It just seems like we haven't really hit on one yet. Oweh had a pretty good year this year, much better than in previous seasons. I don't know that he'll ever become a dominant pass rusher on the edge. If his price is right, I would think about keeping him around for a few more years after this year. Right now, Ajabo to me is a non-factor, and Van Noy is going to be gone here soon just because of his age. So you have to find a young pass rusher that's really going to get the job done, or else you need to go out and trade for one and use one of our positional depth pieces. The problem is, like you always say, Jason, no one wants to trade a superstar edge rusher. It's just not a commodity that people are willing to trade.
And I think that's the issue here, Mike. It's not that I don't think we need an edge rusher. It's that where we pick this year and where we always pick, you're not going to get that dominant edge rusher normally. But we are sitting right in that area of impactful defensive linemen, whether it's interior or not. And then this year, I read something the other day about somebody suggesting the Ravens should trade down. And I'm like, what in the hell reason would you give for that? You have 11 freaking draft picks. Unless you're now getting 2026 draft picks, there's no reason why you need to draft down. That's stupid. So draft up. Get yourself in that impactful zone in the teens of a defensive end, if that's what you want. Now, the only thing, Mike, not to be argumentative, but the only thing I will say is you mentioned that we're the only team in the AFC North that doesn't have a pass rusher, an impactful pass rusher. We're the only team in the AFC North that has actually legitimately competed for a Super Bowl over the last 2 or 3 years because of that. And I think it's because we're balanced all the way through. Like you said, it's a delicate dance of having a pass rush, 2 corners that can stick with a guy for more than a second and a half. And then that combination allowing them to get to the quarterback and not getting loose, John. So I guess what I'm saying is continue to balance things out. If that pass rusher's there, Mike, I'm all about it. I really am. And if they want to go up in the teams and get them, fine. But where you're drafting right now, if you stay, it's barking at me, John, defensive tackle.
Yeah, and I think defensive tackle, and I see where both of you guys are coming from. Like I'm sure it's a discussion that they're having every day in the Ravens war room, of what do we need to do. But look at what made Ray Lewis and that like 2000-ish team so successful. You had 2 guys in the middle who ate up blocks and allowed Ray to basically patrol it with either a running back trying to block him or nobody blocking him. So, if we can get not that we're gonna have a guy like a Jalen Carter available, unless we're gonna trade up. But if we can get another guy to go opposite of Matabike, because Matabike last year, you watched the games, he's double teamed, he's triple teamed, he's double teamed with a chip. I mean, they're putting efforts to keep him out of the backfield. But if we can get another guy who's similar to that would then free up a Roquan to be able to be Roquan, that would not be a bad thing either. Because I mean, if you can keep, with a scrambling quarterbacks, or even a Josh Allen, if you can keep him in the pocket and collapse that pocket from the front, and then give Roquan and those guys the ability to just play football, that's, in my opinion, almost as good as having a dominant pass rush on the outside. However, if you're not getting any pressure from the outside, then you're going to have problems. So, I mean, there's kind of a good argument on both sides of this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of where I sit with all of this. It's like I'm leaning, like I said, Mike, I mean, I'm not arguing with you. It's like I'm fine with whatever they decide to do, get to the quarterback, whether it's the inside or the outside, it doesn't matter to me, but get to the quarterback. It's just where we always end up picking, to me, is just that seems to be the issue, Mike. I'd rather pick at the back end of the draft every year, right?
Well, that means you had a good season. So absolutely. But I guess there's a lot of factors that go into where people draft, what they draft and when they draft, right? So some of it is what's a team need? Some of it is what the contracts look like. To me, that's a big issue right now, is because you have Owe, you have Ajabo, and you have Van Noy. You have three guys that you don't know are going to be there past this year. So to me, it's not. I understand what you're saying. Just I'm not arguing either. I just think that as far as depth is concerned, it's more concerning at the defensive end position than it might be at the interior defensive line, because I know you have two starter quality players in Jones and in Matabike, and you have Broderick Washington as a rotational piece. So you at least are set up well there. Now, Tavius Robinson's a wild card for me. If he can step up and be kind of what he started to become last year, I think that would be very interesting. But even if they don't get that superstar guy, I definitely think they're going to get some defensive ends in this draft. Maybe they go and you know how they go in bulk sometimes. They'll double down on somebody. Maybe they get a couple of defensive ends and a stud defensive tackle. Or if they go stud defensive end in the first round, they double down and get a couple defensive tackles later in the draft. That's usually how the Ravens end up working it out. But I think having 11 picks, like you said, Jason, gives them the wiggle room and the flexibility to kind of dip, duck, dive, and dodge through rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, and kind of navigate their way to get some players that they're really targeting.
So what does your gut tell you, Mike, as far as what position and whether they stay up, down at the same spot in this draft for the first round?
Yeah, I mean, to me, they either stay at 27 or they move up a couple spots. That's the only thing I'm really thinking right now. If they see the guy that they have a list of, maybe 20 guys that they're like, man, these are guys that if they're there, we're taking them. But then maybe it's 15 guys, but then it's like, okay, like they did with Kyle Hamilton. Like if that guy is there still and they're drafting, like they're going to take one of their top 15 guys that are on their board. Like if he's still there, but then they're planning for, okay, this is who should be there. And then they go that direction. But like you said, I think it's defensive line. I just don't know which part of the defensive line. If they don't go defensive line, they always can. Cornerback might be there. Safety, if one of those Ewan Mora or the guy from Starks from Georgia, if either of those guys are there, that could be somebody that they look at to double down on safety, since they have Kyle Hamilton free for hopefully the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean that's funny because I was thinking the same exact thing, that Malachi Starks or a corner if a corner falls. I'm it to me it's interior defensive line is what I think they should take no matter where they stay. But I'm also there's always guys that fall, like you said, Mike. There's always guys that end up there that you didn't expect, whether you have to move up a couple or not. John, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, I was going to say I saw that Malachi Starks in somebody's mock draft that he was going to fall that, and that bringing another safety in there would allow Hamilton to play up in the box, which then could help account for not having that edge rusher, in the way that we did it with Wink. We didn't get pressure with our defensive line. With Wink, he was always among the top in the league in blitzing, and I don't know if that's something that we might, see in incorporating again, bringing in a guy like Starks. But, I think we made you. I mean, with all the picks we have, and we talked about this last time, we can't sign guys. We don't have the cap space. So, maybe we move some of our later picks to move down
John
into the spot. I don't know.
No, I'm telling you right now that if they wanted to sign all 11 guys, they would find room to sign all 11 guys. I would not put it past the Costa. Like, what was it a couple years ago, Mike, when we took Likely? Like, we had like 4 or 5 fourth-round picks, and I was like, "Yep, we're trading one of them." We didn't trade we didn't make any trades in that whole draft. We took 9 guys. Like, if they want to take 11 guys, John, they will take all 11 guys, and they will find room for it. It's funny. The guy you were talking, or the the pick you were talking about, John, was Mel Kiper. And that has some wiggle room as well, because Mel is still a season ticket holder of the Ravens and still has guys there that he's friends with, knows people. So that carries a little bit of water. But to me, Malachi Starks is the obvious pick, which means that the Ravens are not picking Malachi Starks. So it'll be somebody else, if I had to guess. But all right, do you guys want to add anything else or anything we forget about our position group for the Ravens?
Nope, we're good.
I don't know how many more we're going to do here, guys, because we got to start working on this draft. Draft is going to come before we know it, right? I think draft weekend, my draft weekend, my daughter.
Are you saying we need to do a rough draft? Is that what you're saying? Of what we're going to say about it?
And then we'll edit the rough draft.
So terrible. You guys are terrible.
Yeah.
I really hate it.
Sorry, Jason. I'm learning from Mike. This is not.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
not
good.
Not good. Don't be like Mike. Okay. Not like the commercial. Don't be like Mike.
You need a draft beer in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Just get a nice cold draft.
Hey, as long as there's not a cold draft coming in from the window outside your office.
All right, no. Now we're doing too much. Do less, please. All right, moving on. Listen, that was awesome. Finally got this in. We do one segment we wanted to do tonight was because of Alex Ovechkin last week breaking the Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. Mike, John, and I were sitting around thinking maybe we should mention a couple, either one, however many you guys want to do, one, a couple, it doesn't matter, either records or streaks that we don't think will ever be broken in professional sports. So who wants to go first? Who wants to give theirs? Anybody?
I can go first. Mike, get your hand up.
My hand was in the air, though. I think you're supposed to raise your hand.
You're not going to take mine anyway, so go ahead, Mike.
I figured that. Jason's got something obscure ready to roll. I think for me, I went to baseball right away, and 110 shutouts by Walter Johnson. That's complete game shutouts.
Oh, boy.
I think how many complete games are pitched in Major League Baseball every season? Not many anymore.
What's the second
let alone
place for that?
It was like 50. It was ridiculously low. It was still earlier on, right? It might have been like 80 or 90, but it was like earlier on in baseball history. But nobody recently. I think it was like 50 was the most, in one of the more recent, seasons. It's just crazy for a pitcher. And by recent, I mean the last 30, 40 years. So that one was one. And then, 511 wins by Cy Young. Like that's another, record that probably will not be touched just because of he pitched so many more innings than anybody else ever did. It's like they pitched, 40 starts and they pitched 9 innings. It just was so different back in that era. I just don't think in this era you're ever going to see that broken again.
Very good, Mike. Yeah, no, those are. I would agree 100% with that. John, what about you?
Well, I was gonna go all baseball, and then I saw him on the Orioles broadcast the other night. So the first one I think will never be broken is our fellow Baltimorean Michael Phelps. His 28 Olympic medals and 23 golds. I think that record. I think that record is gonna stand for a while. And I didn't even think about it until I saw him on the broadcast. I think he lives in Phoenix now. He was on for a while the other day, Thursday, Friday afternoon. And then
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for you, John. If Olympians can be a number of different types of athletes, so my stat versus your stat, I would think your stat has an easier time being broken than mine just because of the number of different athletes from the number of different sports. All it takes is one stud to come through and be a stud in their particular sport, and that record could be broken.
Right, but it's every 4 years, and there's only so many. If you're a one sport athlete, you can't do it. It's impossible. So you would have to be like a gymnast or a swimmer or a runner. and there's not enough
But with
track
multiple chances per Olympics is what you're saying.
and there's not enough
Correct.
chances for you in any meaningful event. In a track event, you're not going to run the 100, 200, 400, 110-meter hurdles, long jump, high jump, shot put. You're not going to do all these. Not the way that Phelps did it.
I think it would have to be a swimmer. I don't think any
yeah.
other sport you could do it.
You couldn't, because Ledecky's the next closest at 18.
Yeah, swimmer.
Total medals.
I don't think you can do it. Like, you can't do it as a gymnast because you don't do every single, even the best gymnast in the world doesn't do every single category there.
Right. I think Phelps, did it in five Olympics from 2000 to 2016.
Yeah.
So he was dominant for that entire period. And then,
but he wasn't dominant early on. He wasn't dominant first Olympics.
He wasn't. He was like 15 years old.
He also he did more. Didn't he do more events, Mike, than anybody? The year he won the gold medal, I think he competed in more events than any other swimmer.
Yes,
he did. He did. Yeah. So that's my number one. Then I thought Mike was going to lead with this, but number two is Cal streak. There's no way that anybody's going to play that many games. I think what's the longest active streak now is in like the 400s or 500s. That streak's going to go on and on and on forever.
No, those are two. Those are actually. I didn't think of the Michael Phelps one, but the Cal Ripken was obvious. That's never going to.
Yeah, I figured Mike was going to lead with that one, so I had a backup. But
see, with Cal Ripken's, not only will it never be broken, it will never be attempted to be broken. Like, that's not a goal anymore. No one's trying to do that. So it's out. It's done.
So then my other one, my one that I was back up was DiMaggio's hitting streak.
Yeah.
56 straight games. I think with the way that there's videos, analytics, and things, it's going to be nearly impossible to do.
True. Mike, do you want to guess at which one I might do? You said I have something obscure.
Jeez. I mean, I have a couple more on my list, but I don't want to steal any of your thunder. So why don't you give me one of yours at least, so I don't steal your thunder.
Yeah. So mine is Hideki Matsushasha in Japan. He had a sumo record. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay. So mine is actually the NCAA record for men's basketball for consecutive wins. And it's John Wooden's record of 88 consecutive games won from 19.
See, I would have stole your thunder. I would have stole it.
Well, you would have stole. Well, I guess you would have. But see, you should have picked that one because this one's awesome.
Well, and I also was going to say the 10 NCAA championships and 7 in a row.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if any of those will be. I mean, I don't think 88 games in a row will be broken. I think the second place is like 50, and it's by like San Francisco University or something. But from 1961 to 1974, UCLA won 88 straight games. And that's when they didn't play 30 games a year. It wasn't that many in comparison. And that is just a streak to me that is crazy. And
a lot of those streaks, Jason, that San Francisco team, who was the dominant? There was a dominant player there, one of the dominant NBA guys. Bill Chamberlain, right?
Will Chamberlain.
So those guys don't stay for 3-4 years anymore. That's more of a 1 year and done or 2 years and done. Mm-hmm. And now we know they might even stay at the same school for that number of years. So that just adds to the fact that record might stand for a long, long time.
Correct. And back then it's like if you had a dominating center and like UCLA went from Lou Alcindor to Bill Walton to those guys over that period of time. Now that's only 8 years out of that period. So there were other guys in between there as well, but those teams were just so dominant. And how many championships did you say? 10, 7 in a row?
10 and 12 years, 10 and 12 years and 7 in a row.
Oh, come on, man. That's insane. And that just, I feel like he gets overlooked. I really do. Like when everyone talks about when March Madness comes around, everyone talks about Coach K, everyone talks about Bobby Knight, all these guys, but John Wooden's name just kind of went away. And to me,
He's
that's
one of my favorite coaches. Have you ever read his book, Wooden, of all
absolutely.
time? Like he talked about how he would teach his athletes how to put socks and shoes on, and like every detail had to be with the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and like from the minute you step on the court, like he had a methodology behind it. And some of the best little quotes and sayings from John Wooden, like "Be quick, don't hurry." Remember how many times we heard that in basketball practice?
Where do you
It's
where do
just
you think where do you think our coach got all of that from? Like big
right.
fan of John Wooden. That was his idol. Bobby Knight was his idol. Like, and that's the right way of doing things, you know. Like John Wooden broke everything down, like you said, Mike, to the T, to the beginning of putting on your socks and shoes and then going out to the court. That's the best way to teach kids. So why don't we teach every age group that? It's okay. We're not above that. And it's funny. That was the first one that popped in my head. And then the other one I mentioned last week, but Will Chamberlain, 100 points in a game in the NBA. That's never going to be broken. Those are the ones I got, John.
Well, I was going to say, the crazy thing about Wooden is that he only coached 3 Hall of Famers.
Walton,
that's a different era of basketball.
Walton,
Those guys.
Lou Alcindor, and who? Who's the other one?
Who?
Lou
Lou
Alcindor, Kareem,
Bill Walton, and Gail Goodrich.
Gail Goodrich. I don't even know who the hell that is. So there you go.
He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame somewhere. But
wow.
But it's a different day and age, you know, because you look now, these guys are one and done and they're going to the league. Those guys were there to be college students, to be there for 4 years, to learn from him on more than just basketball. Because I remember reading, I think it was in his book. I think it was in They Call Me Coach. I think it was in They Call Me Coach. I don't remember. Anyway, when Lou Alcindor came to Bill Walton, came to John Wooden and said, you know, I'm looking into this Islam thing. Wooden went to the library and got books about it to read and to be a very educated individual. And that was his whole thing in this other book, was that you need to be a very educated individual and do these things too. So, different day and age of coaching and different day and age of college athletics.
Well, and also these coaches, like they had real strong relationships with these players. And Mike was kind of alluding to this with what he was saying, because it was a different time. And the relationships you have with your players back then, like they love these guys. They would go to war for them. But now it's like, okay, who's going to pay me the most amount of money and how long are we staying? And it's just a different game now. And it's sad because these are kids. These are most impressionable kids. Like, they got to fix this thing, man. They got to fix. Like, I'm cool with players. Like, this leads into our next conversation with the University of Maryland and Buzz Williams. But I don't like free agency in college sports. I don't.
No, me either. Hey, can I give one more honorable mention, Jason?
You can get 10, Mike. You can get as many as you want.
Oh, I like that. Hold on, let me look up some more. No, the Wayne Gretzky's points in a season, 215 points in the 1985-86 season. That's ridiculous. Here's the other ridiculous fact. If you look up the top 10 list of points in a season, Wayne Gretzky's on there 8 times. So he's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7, number 8, and number 10. And the only 2 others, do you guys know who it is?
Mario Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux is the only guy who got even close, and his best season was 199 points in the 88-89 season with the Penguins.
Now, was all of his with Edmonton?
Most he had one with the LA Kings. His number 8 was with the LA Kings, and he also has number 11. If you were wondering about that, so anyway,
to go with that, Mike, he has more total points in a career than anyone. If you took out all of his goals, he would still have more points than everyone.
Holy crap!
The great one. He's called the great one for a reason.
And he has 4 Stanley Cups. Like, on top of all of that, like, he also won. So, oh, that's awesome. Nice.
A lot of people have Stanley Cups these days. When I'm in my phys ed classes, they'll bring them. They got these little straws that stick out. And actually, I dressed up as one for Halloween a couple of years ago.
I have an orange and purple one.
I hate you both. I hate you both so much.
Well,
Allie's
Jason,
making multiple sandwich downstairs. All right, we're moving on. And we made mention to the University of Maryland and Buzz Williams. Buzz is quite busy, Michael. 8 total transfers. So now we have 8 players, 8 interesting players. I don't have any complaints. But yeah, the newest Terps, the George Turkson, former top 140 recruit. He was a freshman, but he didn't play last year. He was hurt. That is from Texas A&M. And then he did venture out. He got Isaiah Watts, a 6'3" guard from Washington State. And he did get a 6'9" transfer from Virginia, Elijah Saunders. So very busy, Mike. All good things so far. I don't have a whole lot to say. I know you keep saying you're withholding judgment and all that crap, but it's hard for me not to get excited that he's coming in and making an impact right away.
The big fella from Virginia is an interesting guy. I'm curious. He shoots the ball really well. He's like an 80% free throw shooter. He was, if you take out his last couple games of the year, I think he was like almost 40% from the 3-point line too. So kind of a big that can do lots of different things. And I like that. I'm sure he went with what was comfortable originally, right? And started at Texas A&M and seeing who he could bring from there. But now you're starting to see him kind of dip in to see what's available in the transfer portal and getting some kids from Washington State and Virginia and some different schools, some other Power 5 schools and maybe some other schools. So I'm curious to see if he can continue that trend moving forward because he has to fill out a squad. I don't know what the exact number is to fill out the squad, but I'm guessing around 15 players at some point.
Yeah, and it's funny because with the Texas A&M kids, like he made a promise to those kids. Like I'm going to be here. I'm your coach. Like come here, play for me, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm pretty sure it sounded like it was an open invitation. Like come play.
Yeah, it was, and I'm reading through as I was doing some research for tonight. Seems like he's not done with the Texas A&M kids, but there's a few other guys who evidently they're speaking with and trying to get. Let's see, Malik Moore from
He's a guard, right?
From University of Montana.
Yep, he's a top 20 guy.
Yeah, he's the 21st remaining player in the transfer portal. Yep. Averaged 12.6 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, 2.4 assists. He took over 50% of his shots from beyond the arc, and he shot almost 41%. So he's a shooter from the outside. Also, they're looking at Bryce Lindsey and Sincere Parker at guard. They're looking at Boston College, Elijah Strong, Washington's Mekhi Mason, and Kansas State's Brendan Housen.
You know who else? You know who's not on that list that's still involved?
Who's that?
Rodney Rice.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Maryland down as one of the top 6 schools still. And the fact that he went there last year and he attended, Mike, and he lived on campus. Now, Gillespie was his teammate and best friend, so he could end up in Tennessee. However, Tennessee gave Gillespie $3 million. I'm not sure how much more money they have left, but we have a couple bucks left. So it's still a possibility, but there are some big name schools on that list. Villanova, Auburn. There are a couple other ones too that I might be missing. John, I don't know if you want to pull it up real quick, but he I'm
sorry, for who, Jason?
Rodney Rice. Yeah, he's still on. Like there were still 6 teams in, but Maryland was a top one, Mike. To me,
yeah. So what do you think? The one thing that Maryland has, well, 2 things really, right? They have Buzz Williams, who's a proven coach, right? And they have openings in the starting roster, right? You have opportunity. So if some of these guys are looking for a Power 5 opportunity, let's say the guy from, we said Montana, he's looking for a Power 5 opportunity to be a starter impact player. There's playing time to be had here at University of Maryland. So there is opportunity here, even though that's maybe a silver lining that in the Kevin Willard departure.
So here's the update on Rice, Jason, and Mike. This just came from 11 hours ago. He took the visits to Villanova and Knoxville. He's not going anywhere else, but he has Zoom calls lined up with Auburn and Southern Cal and USC.
Oh, Southern Cal's got a lot of money.
And a lot of beaches.
Yeah. We do like our beaches, Mike. We do.
We don't have a lot of beaches in Maryland, at least in central Maryland.
I disagree, Mike. I've came across quite a few beaches when I lived in Maryland. They're quite the beach.
So,
Chesapeake
guys,
Bay beaches.
I wanted to also throw this in. We got a couple big guys that they're tied to. Maryland is tied to. Sean Phillips from Arizona State, 5 points per game, ranked fifth in the Big 12 in block shots. And then they're connected with an Australian guy named Stephen Olowoniyi. Olowoniyi.
It was great.
Went
We're going to put
from the
John
University
on
of
the recruiting trail.
from the University of Southern Indiana. He had two years eligibility left, and he's averaging about 14 points per game. So, we're not just going after guards. We got a couple big guys looking ready too. But man, could you imagine that name?
Well, it's funny because they don't what he needs to find, and what I think he's starting to turn his attention to is scoring. All of these guys are dirty work guys. They get the job done. They get the ball over. He needs a point guard and a scorer. And I mean, Rodney Rice to me is a no-brainer because he could be your Drew Nicholas, Mike, the guy that comes in from being 40% from 3-point, but he can also get to the basket. And he has the opportunity here to be the guy now. He's the guy if they want him to be. I mean, if he wants to be. So come here, you're the leading scorer. You do you. So to me, that's my phone call. But it's going to come down to money and NIL. I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, the other thing, like you said, is comfort level. He has his roommate Gillespie is in Tennessee, and they have a lot of money there. Or he really likes Willard, and he follows him to Villanova. And Auburn obviously had a Final Four caliber season, so there's some players involved right now. But Rice, if he returned, that's potentially a 20-plus points per game guy if he's the scorer that we're looking for in the offense. Again, we'll have to see how some of this pans out, what Buzz wants to set up. I know he's a defensive-oriented coach probably. So he, like you said, Jason, he wanted to focus on making sure defense and rebounding probably were set in place. And then, like you said, find those scoring options where he can. And try to keep as many doors open as possible at the moment, not being able to start early in the recruiting process.
Yeah, and it's the good thing is here, it's like with him going to the Big Ten, it's a different style than what he was used to before, which actually might benefit certain things because with the SEC, I mean, you had to score damn near 100 points to win those basketball games if you wanted to be a top 4 team. Big Ten is not the same way. But if you can add your offensive explosions to your already really solid defense, that's what the Big Ten is about. And that's why Maryland did so well. And I don't know. Something tells me that we're trending in the right direction. I do have to apologize to you. I have to apologize to our buddy Fritz, to all these people out there that's like, I wasn't happy with the initial Buzz Williams thing, but I think I'm now turning into more excited than everybody. Like, this to me is something that could be a really good thing. And if it's only like I sent you guys that article, apparently there was an article that came out that Buzz Williams is playing the odds. And he says that after 6 years, it's time to move on from your NCAA coaching job, because unless you're like this upper echelon guy that's won multiple national championships, they're kind of done with you. So let's get ahead of the curve and get out. And I don't necessarily, as someone that's been in sales my whole life, I'm okay with that. Like, let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's leave. And I think that's kind of the way the college basketball is going anyway. So I'm on board. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what happens. But we've gotten more news in the last 2 weeks than we've gotten in like 2 years. So who knows?
I'm just worried about that Arizona State guy. You said there's someone from Arizona State, John. I hear those guys like to pee wherever they want to. So we just got to be aware of that.
Big fan. Pee where you must. Just go.
As long as you can block shots and rebound, I don't care where you pee.
Atta boy, John. Well done. All right.
I'm going to get that. Can we cut that audio up?
Yes, I think we should. Actually, you can't pee around any elementary, middle school or stuff. That's apparently a sex offense. We have a mutual friend, Mike, that got a ticket for peeing in public. but it was at like midnight. He pulled over on the side of the road, he peed, and it was right next to an elementary school, and he got a ticket, and it had a sex offense possible charge to it. It got dropped, but we'll just like, we won't say the name of the guy. We'll just call him Tall Guy, and then
I understand. Yeah, I'm on your wavelength, man. Now I guys gotta stay away from Chuck E. Cheese and 100 yards of every elementary school.
Can't have your lights on Halloween, all that fun stuff. It's a good time. All right, who's ready for Blast for the Past? One last segment. You're ready, John. You're really excited.
I'm really excited because I didn't even know this person was on the Orioles. So I don't even know if you guys know he's on the Orioles.
Great. I mean, Brooks Robinson did play for the Orioles, John. He did.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go. You want me to go first, Jason?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
All right. So this young man played for the Rangers, the Cardinals, the Expos, the Orioles, and the Mets. He is a Dominican-born player, January 1st, 1975. San Pedro de Macorís, Dominican Republic. He hit right-handed and threw right-handed. He was primarily a third baseman in the National League, and he played third base and DH'd and played a little first base, I think, in the American League. He, let's see. He was a career 265 hitter, 113 home runs, 448 runs batted in. He has children who played Major League Baseball as well.
It's not Tatis, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he did. Well done, Michael. Well done.
I was gonna say the clue that you guys would have got was he had 3 career grand slams, 2 of them in the same inning of the same game.
Wait, did he play a major? Did he play in the majors with the Orioles?
Yes.
What year?
2006. He played. Okay, so this was the other interesting thing. He signed a minor league contract in November to raise money to build a church in the Dominican Republic. He played 28 games for the Orioles after being called up on July 21st.
Nice.
I didn't know that. He was only on the Orioles.
I don't remember him as an Oriole, but I do remember him.
Yeah, 28 games.
I remember him signing him. I just don't remember him being impactful at all.
When you said Expos and Cardinals and that kind of stuff, that's where my head was just trying to think of a player who played for all those teams.
Yeah, and my last clue was going to be the two grand slams in the same inning. He holds the major league record for grand slams and RBIs in an inning.
Yeah.
Very good, Mike.
Yeah, I got one
that Jason didn't get. So I stumped the Schwab.
He would have gotten it eventually, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't give us the main clue. You didn't give us what year did you play for the Orioles. It's kind of an important clue.
I was getting to that. Reading through my Chat GPT and Wikipedia pages.
Nice. Mike, did you want to go? You want me to go?
Sure, I'll go. I have a pitcher. He was born in 1967 in Louisiana. He's a right-handed pitcher, and he made his major league debut in 1992 for the San Francisco Giants. In his career, he had a win-loss record of 70-91 with a 4.68 ERA and 825 strikeouts. He played for the following teams: Giants, Marlins, Royals, Red Sox, Orioles, and Angels. He was a starting pitcher if you're trying to delineate between starter or reliever. He was part of the 1992 expansion draft when players were taken for the Marlins and the Rockies, and he was selected by the Florida Marlins. In his first season with the Marlins in 1993, he was 4-6 with a 4.02 ERA. Orioles. He played for the Orioles. Hold on, let me find the year. He signed with the Orioles on November 2nd, 1999. Sorry, January 28th, 2000. He stated at that point that all the other offers he had were non-roster invites. He started 3-0 for the Orioles that season, but learned his father was ill with a bacterial infection sustained from cutting his leg while fishing. Unfortunately, that put him into a coma, and his father passed away in the middle of the 2000 season. Rapp finished his lone season with the Orioles. I just gave it to you.
Pat Rapp.
Pat Rapp. I wrapped that up quickly.
Well done. Oh, Mike.
Did you know it?
Not yet. No.
That would have been a tough one. I thought I remembered him from the expansion draft with the Marlins. He was like one of the original Marlins. That's all I could really remember of him.
Okay.
But again, I wrapped mine a little early.
Nice. Well done.
That was good.
All right.
I swear it wasn't because I just didn't want you to get it, Jason. I just had a little faux pas there.
No, it's a good time. All right. So my guy spent 11 seasons in Major League Baseball for the Phillies, Astros, Braves, Indians, Orioles, and Diamondbacks. He played 24 games with the Orioles the season that he played. He was a two-time All-Star in 2010 and 2012, respectively, with the Astros and with the Braves. Also a two-time Gold Glove winner in 2009 and 2010, mainly in center field. Let's see. What other stuff can I give you?
Gary Matthews?
No. And wow. Which one? Senior or junior?
Pat Rapp.
Pat Rapp, you win. Okay. Let's see. He led the NL in stolen bases 3 times, 2009, 2010, and 2011. And
What year was he an Oriole?
I was getting there.
I need
just
that.
Setting the mood, baby. Just, it's
I'm never in for all of that extra stuff. We just need to get to it.
2016, he played for the Baltimore Orioles. But again, led the NL in stolen bases 3 times, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Led the major leagues in steals in 2011. Two seasons over 40 stolen bases. One season over 50 stolen bases. Over 2 seasons over 60 stolen bases. 341 career stolen bases. So he stole a lot of bases. Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Well, that was another record that I was going to say was the Henderson stolen base record. Nobody's going to break that one either.
Maybe then. I think someone could.
Yeah.
It's tough though. It's not like the baseball's changed.
Right. Ricky gone.
Ricky gone.
What? Give me the teams one more time, Jay.
Yeah, Phillies, Astros, Braves, Indians, Orioles, Diamondbacks. And he was in the Blue Jays organization, but he never made the majors.
I think I know who it is, but I'm not sure.
Who do you think it is?
Shane Victorino?
He was never an Oriole. You keep saying these guys that never played for the
Gary
Orioles.
Matthews was on the Orioles.
Yeah, Junior.
Right.
Junior.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike, since you were the only one left with an actual guess, in 2016 he came over in a trade with the Diamondbacks, but it was not a trade deadline trade. It was on August 31st, so it's one of those clear
waivers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dude, and that was 2016, which was
the playoff year.
The playoff year where we lost in the play-in game, right?
I was excited for this, but I don't know why I was that excited. But dude, this guy was a difference maker his whole career until he got older.
I'm trying to think of that.
He's like if Mateo was good. He was a 260 career hitter. He made the All-Star game twice. John, stop looking it up on the computer.
I don't have a guess, so it don't matter.
Yeah, don't say it.
I'm not.
I'm struggling anyway, so it doesn't. I don't know that I'm going to have a guess.
You will remember him mainly as an Astro, but also as a Brave. Center fielder. Stole a lot of bases in 2009 to 2011.
Huh. I'm just going to throw. I mean, yeah, throwing names around in my head. I'm trying to think of a player who was an Astro and a Brave.
Kind of piss you off.
I'm sure it already is. So
you're not
going
to remember he was an Oriole either.
Jason, he comes up on ESPN and then on the Baseball Encyclopedia with an Orioles hat on.
Oh, nice.
What?
Yeah.
I think that's fake.
You got any more clues, or are we done?
Jason, let me give him a good clue.
A good clue. I do a
good clue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's a couple ones actually.
No. Okay, stop it.
Okay. He also, his last name is similar to that of a Hollywood.
Stop it. That's a shitty clue. You're not allowed to give that one. All right, Mike, I'm going to give you his stat line as an Oriole. Probably not going to help. But he had a 284 average, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, and 8 RBIs. And
he only had 2 stolen bases.
Yeah, he didn't play. He only played 25 games.
That's true, right? He got here in August, late August.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you what it rhymes with?
What's John's clue? John, what are your clues?
You guys have you have the same first name.
Oh, Michael.
It rhymes with a lot of different words. It rhymes with a lot of 4-letter words.
What?
Michael Morse? No, I don't know.
No, but he was an Oriole. Good guess.
Yes, he was. Yeah. I got.
Is Michael Bourne?
Bourne. Oh, okay. Yeah. I do remember him as an Astro. You're right. That's where I remember him. I forgot he was a Brave.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, that guy, when we got him, I was like, okay. Now what? Now what are we going to do?
I forgot. That's a good one, Jason. I forgot that one altogether. That's great.
Yeah.
Just like you forgot about Pat Rapp until I said his name.
Pat Rapp. It's not that I forgot him. He wasn't on my radar to guess. I was like,
Yeah.
All right. Well, fellers, it's been a good time. I think it's time to wrap this up and let Mike get some sleepy, take some more Robitussin.
I need some Robitussin. All right. That's good. You ready, John? You got anything else for me?
Absolutely not, Mike.
Don't look at me like that. All right, here we go. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Dad Bods, Crab Cakes, and Sports. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. Don't forget to subscribe on Red Circle, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're at it, leave us a review. It helps us out. We're trying to spread the good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Be sure to follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes action, memes, and bad sports takes. You can find us at dadbods_crabcakes_sports on Instagram and at dadbods crabcakes and sports on our Facebook page. Got a question or topic you want us to cover? Hit us up at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. You never know, we might just shout you out in our next episode. Until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game.
Adios.
Sayonara.